here we are heading up to Rattlesnake Mountain Shooting Club. Now we are technically on the grounds, and this little valley that we're driving through is dead nuts in the middle of the 1,000-yard range. So to the left of us is the firing positions, and to the right is the targets. So when we're shooting, we are actually shooting over this little valley. And it's just a really great range. It's out in the middle of the desert, out towards Benton City, near Richland, near the Tri-Cities area. Really well taken care of club. We shoot on shot markers. This guy John runs it and does a great job with the program. And it's a really interesting range because at the 800 and 900 yard distances, you are actually shooting at an angle to the targets, and then when you get to the 1,000 yard, you're shooting head on. And that's just because of the terrain and where they had to put them. So right here, if we took a right around these pylons, we'd be going to the pits to set up, but instead, obviously, we're going to be going up here to the line. And you just get this beautiful view. It's just a breathtaking range. I mean, just beautiful scenery, beautiful hills. Let's have some fun today. All right, we are out here at Rattlesnake Mountain Shooting Facility, otherwise just known as Rattlesnake. And we're on the 800-yard line. And we're going to be shooting a Palma today, which means we're shooting from 800, which is here, and then we'll move back, shoot from 900, and then we'll go shoot 1,000, and then we'll shoot 2 more 20s at 1,000 also. So it's going to be a long day, 85 record rounds. See if I can zoom in a little bit here. You can see the targets a little better. So there you go. So this is 800 yards. We shoot the same target size at all 3 distances. So it'll be fun. I always love doing these. We are getting ready to shoot. You can see it's pretty sporty already. This is the standard wind, and then we are gusting upwards of, we had some 22 mile an hour gusts a minute ago. Anyway, it's going to be a first fun relay, and it's only going to get worse from there. All right, here is the 800-yard target. Now, keep in mind, like I said, this is a Palma match, meaning we are shooting on the 1,000-yard target at 800, 900, and 1,000. So at 800, there is a slight natural advantage since you are 200 yards closer, but shooting at the 1,000-yard target. Nevertheless, very challenging conditions. I mean, the whole day was just merciless. And I think by the time we had started shooting this relay, it was easily blowing 14, 15 miles an hour with some stronger gusts. I was really happy with my water line here. You can see if you look at the height, just under 5 inches. So it really kept a nice tight water line that made my job a lot easier in terms of holding the windage. And that's really what you want in a long range load. You know, this is about keeping the smallest vertical so that all I have to do is worry about the wind calls here. Now, if you look, 12 is right here, 13 is here, then 14, then 15. Now, I was feeling really confident. I was keeping everything centered up really nicely. 12 was here, then 13 started to walk, so I came in a little bit. 14 came out a little bit more, so I knew that I needed to hold in another line to be safe. And for whatever reason, my brain said hold the same or just a little bit more, and I was holding right about where this 9-sighter is. And sure enough, it leaked out. And, so that's where it gets a little bit frustrating because I told myself to hold right in here on the X line. That probably would have kept me safe, but if wishes and buts kind of thing. It is what it is. I dropped my 15th and we move on. So let's go see what the 900 held in store for us. It is really picking up out there. It's moving. Getting set up at the 900 yards. The 900. Well, this one did not go nearly as well for me. I really struggled with keeping it centered up. The horizontal was still really good. I was just over 6 inches. But man, I was really struggling to get them back over over in this area, which is where they really should have been. And that's just me not correcting enough. I think I was a little timid on this one. I think after shooting that first relay so well in such horrid conditions that I was really shooting from a defensive position on this one, and it shows. And I will just tell you that shooting defensively is the easiest way to, just blow a lead, ruin a match, or shoot poorly. You have to be aggressive. You have to get out there and you have to put them where you think they belong. And, there are very few times where you really want to shoot defensively. And, just look at how, it was all over the place. Here's shot 1, then 2, 3, 4, it was all over the place. Then 10 and 11 came out. I finally corrected in on 12, 13, 14, and 15. But, this is a perfect example of me getting in my own head, making some bad decisions on where to correct, not correcting enough, as it were, and, paying the price. I dropped 5 on it, and that hurt. That's a lot of points to drop at 900 yards. So I was still feeling pretty good about how I shot, but, this definitely kind of snapped me out of my what are you thinking. And as I was heading to the 1,000-yard line, for the last leg of the Palma, I really just told myself, do what I was doing at 800, be a little more aggressive, make the calls, and let's see what happens. On to the last leg of the Palma at 1,000 yards. Now, again, I went into this one a little more aggressive. I basically told myself, whatever my call was, add another half to a full line. And that's something that a really good shooter told me a long time ago is, if you're going to take half, take a whole. Meaning, if you think you need to move out half a line, just take the whole line because you've really got nothing to lose. And that last target was a really great example of me trying to really nitpick my holds and, kind of shade a line here or there. And I just got burned left and right. This one, I really got right back into it. And if I needed to hold, anything more than a line, I took a whole line. Sometimes I was taking 1.5 lines. And it really paid off. You can see this really centered up great. Obviously, I lost a couple out the left here, and those were just some let-offs that, just really happened fast, and I got burned hard on those ones. But this one felt great. You can see my verticals back into a sub-half minute at 1,000 yards here, which, as long as I can keep my vertical at a half-minute vertical, I am really, really happy. And, that lets me do the work with the wind and keep a lot of safety zone for wind calls. Because remember, the tighter you can keep your horizontal, the more real estate you have in the corners to make a mistake. Meaning that if I hold out here and I have a load that is shooting a top to bottom vertical, so a 10-inch vertical, if I come out here and make a bad call, there's all of this real estate where I could get burned on a 9. Whereas if I have a nice tight X-ring vertical, then what that allows me, if I come out here and I make a bad call, is it's much more likely to end up in here because I'm not losing the real estate up here. So anyway, it's just something that you're going to want to strive for at these kinds of distances if you want to keep your vertical to a minimum. So this one turned out great. Really happy. Was able to keep it. All my holds were over on the left side here for what it's worth. Wind was coming really hard left to right. At this point, I had 7.5 minutes in the gun. So yeah, you heard that right. I literally had 7.5 minutes in my gun, and I was still holding anywhere from a left X to a left 4.5 rings out, almost 5 rings out. So, it was just rocking with the wind. And, if you think about it, that's almost, oh boy, what do you got? 7 minutes, a minute's 10 inches. So that's 70 inches plus the additional hold. So that's 7 feet, 6 to 7 feet that I was holding technically left of the X-ring to get them to land where they are. So just a crazy day of shooting, but again, felt great. And, it's kind of a cliche, but I just really felt like I was in a groove here. So that was the end of the Palma, but then we still have 2 of our 20-round 1,000-yard matches to go. Here's what the targets look like. We have giant straps holding them down because the wind is so aggressive. It'll literally snap them off if we don't. Into the first of the 20-round 1,000-yard matches. This one, anytime you start getting more and more rounds, so we went from 15 rounds during the Palma up to 20 rounds, you're always going, it's a longer duration, more chance for things to happen. It's just plain harder to shoot 20 rounds than 15 rounds. So this one, I used every bit of this 10 ring during this match, which, maybe my load was falling apart a little later in the day. Wasn't really sure. Still a really great score. I mean, I only dropped 2 points, and they were, one out here, and then one down here. But and really that's where the 10 inches of vertical came from. If you look at my actual in the X ring, you can see here that it was a lot tighter. But this shot is a perfect example of why vertical matters. If this shot had been in line with my other vertical, meaning, within a ½ inch vertical, you see how the wind call would have been good. If it was up here in line and you replotted it, it would line up more like here, which would have kept it safe at a 10. But being that the group opened up, the 7 was way up here and the 16 was all the way down here, this opening up exposed me to shooting this 9. It ended up hitting this dangerous real estate down here in the corner, which, I hate doing. I can live with this. This call out here was just a bad call. This hurts when the load throws high or low and you don't know why. So, again, great score. Overall, it held a very good vertical, but overall doesn't matter when something like this happens. So, it was later in the strings. Again, who knows what happened? Could have just been a bad load, but still sucks and, still drops you a point. Did feel a lot better after this, though, after shooting it, because, the winds were, again, just continuing to get worse, and they were starting to switch really bad. And, it's just the way this range is. It's considered one of, if not the windiest ranges in the U.S. to shoot at on a regular basis. I've shot at this range with, literally 35, 37 mile an hour winds at it. So it's a brutal range when it wants to really pick up. So let's go see what that last target. Shooting it right now. Here is the final relay of the day. So, I was feeling pretty good. I had at least a few point lead going into the end of this. And boy, I really thought I gave it away on this one. You see the score. I dropped 7 points. Great vertical. I mean, the water line on this was just, really great. A little over 6 inches and really just kept me safe. But man, I missed some calls out here, and and then bounced one out here. And you can just see how violent it was. Here's 1, then 2, then 3, then 4 all the way out here, then back to 5. 16, 17, then 18, 19, then 20. It was a very zigzaggy day. The wind flags from my position, the wind flags were blowing, as hard as they were all day, but they would switch from what would be about a 8 o'clock wind, an 8 to 2 wind would then suddenly snap to a tailwind and then come right back. And, that's what leads to this kind of stuff. When you're holding for this and then it lets off suddenly, then your bullets go flying out the left. And, that's exactly what it is. I got caught and burnt. And then, this number 4 shot, I just didn't give it enough and it just got pushed out. This one, I'm just lucky it was, it was still bad, but it could have been even worse. So, it's just, I only had 1 8, which is this number 20 shot, which it always hurts to end a day on an 8. But, I'm thankful this 4 just caught the edge of the 9 ring here. Otherwise, that would have been another point. And I finished pretty early compared to everybody else, and I thought for sure I had just given it away. 2 guys beat me on this relay. I dropped 7. There were, 2 of the best shooters there, both dropped 6. And, just luckily it held on and it was enough. A lot of guys dropped double digits on this particular relay. And so I count my blessings that it was only 7. And, here's the final scores. I'll show them to you here. But, just one of those days where everything was zinging along and felt good. And, everything was grooving. And you know, sometimes the win doesn't matter if you're just feeling it right. So I just, you know, had one of those days, and it was a great day to walk away. So let's take a look at the final. Here's the final scores. This is the FTR division, which is going to be your target rifle. It's 308 or 223 only off of bipod. This is F open. This is everything else. 22-pound weight limit, but virtually nothing else restricting you. And you know, these are top level competitors. So, you know, these are all guys that have placed at least in the top 3 of nationals or regionals or, you know, really top level matches, even world. I mean, several of these guys have shot world. So, I mean, to be fortunate enough to shoot as well as I did and to beat some of these guys was really humbling. And, you know, I felt great about it. It's sometimes hard when you're so used to losing to you know, these guys, because these guys don't give an inch. I mean, you make one mistake, they don't make a mistake. And so it was just one of those days where you know, I was really fortunate. And they're all a great group of guys. I consider them all really good friends. We talk on a regular basis. And you know, being in the Northwest and being able to regularly hang out with these guys and learn and compete, you know, I always equate it to swinging a heavy bat in baseball. You know, you swing a heavy bat before you go to the plate, hitting that home run's a lot easier. And shooting against these guys, it's the same way. They are, you know, literally some of the best in the country. You always learn something. You always are just, you know, taken back by how well they shoot. But it does make shooting anywhere else against anyone else just that much easier. So I'd always rather compete against those that are a whole lot better than me, because I'm always going to get better. There's nothing worse than, you know, always shooting against people that you always beat. You don't learn anything. So, you know, bottom line, it was a great day. I look forward to seeing them next month at the next match. It'll be the same format, but, you know, see how it goes. Anyway, thanks for watching. Talk to you guys later.